Papa Nintendo wants you to have fun as long as you play by their rules. They're very strict about this, Gabe. They know what's best for you and they enforce it. And so that's why this is so interesting to see a massive YouTuber, basically like a corporation at this point, LinusTechTips, taking on Nintendo directly. Like, they are throwing the full like bait, line, and sinker at them. They're like, it's a giant mushroom on a fishing rod. And they're like, come and get us, Nintendo. And it's ballsy. It's interesting, and it begs the conversation about just where Nintendo will go with this, where Nintendo's gone in the past, and how kind of we feel about the whole preservation games, putting them on a different platform, the whole shebang. So set up for us, Gabe, what went down.
Yeah, I love that the title itself was just a dare to Nintendo. They're literally daring Nintendo to take their video down. Right? It kind of seems like that's what they want. But to set up what it is, the Steam Deck is out now. It's still hard to get, but it's more widely available. You and I both have it. Emulation is a thing. The Steam Deck, for all intents and purposes, is a PC. You can already emulate your Switch on a PC. So Linus Tech Tips, the channel, made a video hosted by Anthony, one of the fan favorite hosts over there, on how to get your Switch games on your Steam Deck 100% legally, no piracy. They, of course, don't advocate for that at all.
Yeah, let me pause right there and just say, like, we also don't advocate for piracy in any way. Like, the only reason that this is even, like, on my desk to even be an option for a video is because they did it in a way that is not illegal. They did this by taking their own games they already own.
Yes, their own Switch, their own game, everything that they did is above board 100%. And he got into pretty much a challenge on Nintendo and calling them bullies for taking down videos of smaller creators. I think Anthony at one point says, you know, we've seen what they do with a smaller creator, but, you know, let's see if they want to deal with a bigger fish. They are one of the biggest fish in the YouTube space. My gut says that Nintendo does nothing about it. I just don't think that's what it is. But you might be wondering, why would you even want to do this? The Switch is portable. The Steam Deck is portable. The Switch games run fine. They don't run like all that much better on Steam Deck. Some even run worse. So why? Well, you already touched on it, but preservation. The game saves, right? Of course, Nintendo Switch Online allows you to pay to back up your game saves to a cloud. But what if you want them locally on your PC for whatever reason? This allows you to do that on top of other things. We've seen that the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii and pretty much every past platform, their shops are going away, and they're back for now, but for a while there you couldn't download your own games that you've already paid for, and this of course remedies that. So there is reasons to want to do this, but I hesitate to even consider doing this myself. Like I said, I have a Steam Deck, you have a Steam Deck. I don't think either of us would try. It's not difficult, but it's cumbersome.
Yeah.
And for me, the fascinating thing about this is just a multi-million-dollar corporation, which is a YouTube channel, but still, them pretty much laying the gauntlet down against Nintendo, saying like, hey, this stuff that you guys do isn't cool. Stop. And it's okay. And it's so much okay that we're going to do a setup guide step by step on how to do it.
Yeah, it's really, really just like you said, it's like throwing down the gauntlet. It's ballsy, it's out there, and it's basically saying like, this is totally fine and legit. So like, if you want to mess with us, we're ready to mess with you. And like you said, like, do most people have a use for this? Probably not. But it is interesting from a preservation standpoint. And it's also interesting because Nintendo, especially lately, has had such a history of, if there's music involved, if there's, you know, fan projects involved, they really shut all that down. And it's better, honestly, now. But there was a time a couple of years back where you had to like get like a green light from Nintendo, or many channels had to, where like you are like whitelisted to be able to post their gameplay. They uploaded this entire long library of music. So anytime any song from, you know, their games was caught in a video, YouTube sort of third-party copyright engine would see that and be like, no, you can't do it. So at one point, Nintendo was like anti even playing the games on YouTube. And I guess they've grown up a little bit since then, but they still are very like, you best not have a fan project. You best not find some way to modify their stuff. Now, if it is anything illegal, leaking, releasing company documents, or like the Gary Bowser case where he was, you know, distributing emulated software, you know, to many people, that of course they have every right and should, you know, if they want to pursue that to the full extent of the law. But for these types of things, it does really seem like Nintendo takes this, like, we know what's good and we're going to enforce that. And if you don't like it, tough, we're Nintendo. And this is a chance for, like you said, a big guy to say, like, okay, like, will you mess with us?
Yeah, no, Daddy Nintendo really likes to act like Daddy Nintendo. And, you know, whatever, maybe they do know best. It is their IP, it is their hardware. I understand their point of view, but I also totally get the consumer side of it where, like, hey, we're not doing anything wrong. As long as you're not sharing the files, as long as you're not pirating, Nintendo shouldn't really care what we do. One of my favorite things on the video, Anthony said something about, you know, he thinks that if this came to a lawsuit, there's no way that any American judge would side with Nintendo. Like, there is no precedence for that. There has been lawsuits before, and Nintendo just isn't going to win those. And he said, but if Nintendo wants to try, there's only one way to find out. Something along those lines.
If they tried, my gut tells me that the U.S. courts would side with the individual, but I guess there's only one way to find out.
So it seems like they're fishing for it.
I would say, like, my guess is Nintendo views, like, any opening, like, we leave that door open 3 inches, it just creates a can of worms, right? So even though there is legal ways to do this, their idea is shut it all down so the illegal ways don't become more normal.
But that doesn't stop them, because look at Gary Bowser. He's in prison right now for doing it. Like, there are ROM sites right now that exist. So, I mean, they're not doing a very good job.
But I think that's the reason for being so harsh about it. I don't think they see the nuance of the preservation, and they should now, right? That they are part of it, because there's, as you mentioned, like, there's right in front of our faces facts. Like, they can just shut these eShops down at any time, and then your library that you paid for is no longer there. I mean, if you have it downloaded, it is, but that's something that I think everybody worries about. We have mostly digital games. You could have a huge library on the Switch. You know, you and I, we got like big memory cards, terabyte memory cards. That's tons of games. And you can't have them all downloaded at once if you have a smaller memory card, if you just use the base Switch storage. So that would be the motivation behind this. I feel like they really also want Nintendo, because that's great publicity. Like, I feel like there's a part of it that's like, if Nintendo versus LinusTechTips, like, I mean, we're covering it, everybody would pick this up. That would be big. Like, if Nintendo's suing Gary Bowser, like, even that, like, that doesn't make massive news. It makes, like, you know, Go Nintendo, and it makes Nintendo Life, and it makes maybe IGN. But this would be, like you said, it's mega millions at stake, and so it would be a much more national story. And so, like, there's a little part of me that thinks, okay, they're just doing this to try and,
hey, good job. I mean, at the very least, it's an interesting and fun video, because you and I keep saying it, like, hey, we wouldn't do it, but it's cool to see.
Right.
Like, I'm all for that. I personally think that game preservation is still really, really important. And as long as companies continue to do like this weird stuff, this has nothing to do with Nintendo, but I don't know if you saw that PlayStation is revoking licenses for movies purchased on some service there, because some licensing agreement they had with some other vendor expired. So now stuff that people have already paid for is just no longer available to them. So if these companies didn't do these things, like, yeah, maybe we wouldn't need to worry about this. Maybe if you could,
there's a future where, like, 10, 15 years down the line, your collection is just thinned day by day, month by month, because licenses are expiring, services are shutting down, you know, access is revoked. I think for me, like, I love Nintendo's hardware, so I would never rather play it elsewhere. Like, I don't want to play, you know, 3DS games on the phone. I don't want to play Switch games on the Steam Deck, because I'd rather just play them on Nintendo's given hardware. I think their hardware is really good. Plus, I'm just not the biggest back catalog person. But yeah,
just real quick, the other point they make is, like, if you're traveling and you want to take your Steam Deck and you also maybe want to play a Nintendo game, like, it's better to have it on one portable console, so you don't have to carry 2 in your backpack. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that, you know, first world problems and all that. But all right, what were you saying?
I was just saying, I think it's interesting that there is a way to go about this completely above board, like you said, like completely legally. They're you know, like you said, it's cumbersome, but, like, you can do this. And I think maybe that should be sort of the focus of what's the issue. Like, why does Nintendo feel like they should impose their might over things that aren't bad? If it's something illegal, then sure, like I said, go after it. But it's maybe not the coolest thing to say, hey, we're a massive corporation with billions of dollars, so what we say goes. Maybe that is the real deal here, and more so than the games or even the preservation. It's like, hey, we give you a lot of money, we love you, we believe in you, just treat us right. And you said it off air, like Nintendo's all about fun until you want to have fun in a different way.
Yeah. And the game saves in particular, right? Like that one sucks. When, I mean, this is ancient history at this point, but when our Switches got stolen, whatever E3 that was.
It hurts.
Dude, like I had to like start Splatoon over completely. I had so much progress done, and there is no cloud saves for
Odyssey, Splatoon, and Breath of the Wild. You lost all those saves.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild was the one that really hurt because I had like 50 hours into that thing.
Yeah.
And like it's slow to try to catch everything back up, and cloud saves, like you never expect your stuff is gonna get stolen. Like that's not an expectation you have. And with Splatoon in particular, and I think it's the same for Animal Crossing, they just don't allow it because they're afraid of any like other malfeasance, like
cheating or account spoofing or whatever. Saves, like I don't think we should have to like make an offer like, oh, we can have saves, we can't have this. If it's legal, it's legal. But the saves in particular is like, man, let us have our saves.
And right now, in the limited way that we do have our saves, we gotta pay for, which isn't fun.
It's micro amount, but yes.
Yeah, but I mean, still,
principle the matter.
Yeah. We just thought that this was a really interesting topic. I encourage you to go check out this video.
We'll put a link to it in the description,
Yeah, I mean, if you have a Steam Deck, if there's something you want to try, like, I'm not the morality police, although I don't think that this is morally wrong. As long as you're not just don't pirate. Everything else is above board. We think it was a fun little topic, and just to see a YouTube channel kind of just challenge Nintendo in this way has been interesting. Do you think Nintendo responds in any way whatsoever? I don't
think so either. I mean, let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think LinusTechTips is in the right? Do you think they're in the wrong? Do you think this is a big issue that Nintendo should stop the way that they conduct business? Or do you think they have the right to, given that, it is, they made the games. It is very interesting, and I don't think Nintendo will, because it's so baited, you know what I mean? Like, it's so intentional. Maybe if it was like more accidental. And I also just think it's a big thing, and it would be very negative publicity for Nintendo, because I don't see a way where they're framed positively if they did. Like, it doesn't really, no matter how the law plays out, like, it looks like they are just going after, it's not really the little guy, but.
Do you have the title in front of you? The title of the video?
Of the video?
Yeah, can you find it real quick? Because just to title it that, and LTT, like, they're pretty open about the fact that they are a YouTube channel and they need to bring in clicks, just like every YouTube channel. But what's the title?
Take down this video, Nintendo, I dare you. And as of recording, it has 1.1 million views.
Hey, it's cool, man. And it's not clickbait. They are kind of literally daring Nintendo. I kind of wish Nintendo would do it just to see what happens.
We'll keep you posted if they do. And definitely let us know your take on this entire battle/issue/dare in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoy our content, and make sure to have a safe, healthy, happy, positive day out there. Stay good, my people, and until next time, thanks, Gabe. SwitchForce out.